Good evening, everyone. I'm Rakhi Gautam from Grade HR, the moderator for the session today. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us. Also, wishing all of you a very happy and successful new year. May this year be the best year that you have had till now. Okay, so I think we have the quorum with us. I'm so happy to see a lot of people have joined us for the very first webinar of this year. Excited. Cool then. I think before we start with the discussion, let me quickly give you an overview of how the session goes. So the session is divided in two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. So audience Q&A is where time is all yours. You can start putting across your questions in the Zoom control panel for Q&A, and we will take those questions towards the end. Also, in case you miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We've got you covered there as well. This session is currently being recorded, and the same will be shared with all of you by next week, early next week. And this session will also be uploaded on our official Great HR YouTube channel under the playlist Parichai. So you can always go there and watch it later. Okay, so I think before, without any further delay, let's start the discussion. Let me quickly tell you what all, points that we will be discussing today. So this session today will offer you a comprehensive overview of key employee benefit schemes, including Provident Fund, Employee State Insurance, that's ESI, and Gratuity. It will also explore the regulations governing these frameworks, highlighting their objectives, applicability, and benefits for both employees as well as employers. So this session, of course, since we have a Q&A at the end, will also address common compliance challenges that organizations face, and we'll offer you actionable solutions to resolve them. So whether you are an HR professional, a payroll manager, an employer, or an employee, this webinar will equip you with the knowledge to navigate and manage these essential aspects of workforce management, ensuring regulatory compliance and a clear understanding of your entitlements. So to decode all of that and to share her insights with us today, joining us is CA Ruchika Bhagat, Managing Director at Brooks Consulting Private Limited. Let me quickly take you all through her profile. So, CA Ruchika Bhagat graduated from the University of Delhi in the year 1996 and became a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in 98. She is a strategic advisor in setting up businesses in India for foreign companies and taking care of its compliances. She specializes in business advisory, tax, regulatory, and risk advisory. She is a business professional with over 26 years of rich experience helping other businesses grow and be more profitable. She also has a strong and genuine passion for business growth and sustainability, and has a vast knowledge of working with Indian companies as well as many foreign companies from the UK, US, Italy, China, Korea, US, UK. Okay, so you name it and she has it done. She has done it there. So thank you so much, Ruchika, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to host you. And it's always, so exciting to have these discussions with you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rakhi. In fact, pleasure is mine. And as I always say, you always give a nice introduction for me. Thanks a lot for that. First of all, Rakhi, and a great Happy New Year, a good New Year. May you have lot of good things happen in this year to you and your team, and yes, to our viewers also.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, warm introduction and your wishes. Thank you so much, Ruchika. So let's start with our discussion. So I'm going to keep my questions very basic to the point, but of course, something that everybody's anticipated. They might have these doubts in a regular day. So just ask. I'll ask you those questions and just help us with those insights. So starting off with ESI and EPF. First, please tell us who is eligible for ESI and EPF, and specifically, what are the benefits of EPF?
So look, one thing is there, both ESI and EPF, as I normally tell, they are the social security benefits. So we all know they are the social security benefits. So one thing we need to take into consideration is, look, India has a huge population. So government cannot give social security benefit to each and every person in India. So that is why maybe they have created this ESI PF, so that at least even by force, you are forcibly contributing. This is a forced contribution, you can say, but still you are getting the social security benefit. You are getting the benefit at the time of retirement, or you are getting the benefit at the time when you require it at most. Specifically, when we talk about ESI. So as I said, ESI and EPF, both of them, they are social security benefits. So taking them one by one, starting from EPF, as you said, specifically for EPF regarding the tax benefits also. So EPF, we all know, if you have any organization that has 20 employees or more, they are supposed to get registration under EPF, that is compulsory registration under EPF. But it doesn't mean that you cannot have voluntary registration. So if in case the employer want its employee to have social security benefit, but he do not have 20 employees, then also you can get voluntary registration and you give this benefit to your employees. But simultaneously, we also need to consider the salary part also. That is, if your basic and DA is less than 15,000 per month, then all those employees are covered under EPF. But if salary is more than that, then again, as I said, you can go for a voluntary registration. So now I think most of viewers, they might be having this question: what if our organization is having just 9 employees? Out of them, 5 are having less than 15,000. Are we supposedly get registered under compulsory registration? So answer is big no. So if you need to have both the conditions simultaneously, that is 20 or more employees and salary is less than 15,000. So in this case, if you have less than 9 employees and their salary is less than 15,000, you can have registration, but that will be voluntary registration, not compulsory registration. So this is clear about the registration part. Now coming to the contribution part. So when I say contribution, so in case if it is a compulsory contribution, then the contribution is 12% of the salary, both by employer and employee, and it is reduced to 10% where there is a voluntary contribution. And if in case, as I said, that it is a contribution of 12% of your salary, so it is 12% or 1,800 if the wages are more than 15,000 or 15,000. This we need to take into consideration. And when we talk about the international workers, so in case of international workers, there is no such ceiling of 15,000. This we have to keep in mind. So we have talked about the registration, we have talked about the contribution. Now, what is the bifurcation of this contribution? How it is further bifurcated? So this 10 or 12%, whatsoever is the contribution, it is further bifurcated. Like 8.33% of this goes to the employee pension scheme, and 3.67 goes to your employee deposit linked insurance scheme. But apart from this, employer also has to contribute 0.5% towards administration charges and 0.5% towards the EDLI scheme. This we need to consider. So this is whole about the contribution and the registration part, along with the your this tax benefit. So coming to the tax benefit, as you said, what are the tax benefits for EPF? So tax, when I talk about tax benefit, there are two different set. One is tax benefit that is applicable to employees, and then tax benefit which is applicable to employer. So coming to the employees, there was an old provision, that is tax under old regime, where we were getting benefit under section 80C. So whatsoever employee was contributing towards PF, he was getting a deduction under section 80C, maximum up to rupees 1,50,000. But since there is a new tax regime, so there is no such tax benefit under new tax regime. But as I always say to all my viewers, to all my clients, that this is more of social security benefit. So if you see the benefit with regard to tax liability, then you may get disheartened that under new tax regime you are not getting the tax benefit. But when you see the benefits that you will be getting, the social security benefit that you are getting, that is, I think, more advantageous, because that is not there in old tax regime. And when we talk about tax liability of the employer, so in both the regimes, that is old or new, whosoever the employer is opting, For employer, it is always a expense which is allowed as deduction from tax point of view. So this was an overview with regard to EPF. So when we talk about ESI, so is as such, we can say it is a non-cash benefit, but again, this is a healthcare insurance fund which is being contributed by majorly by employer and minorly by employee. And it is applicable to all factories, restaurants, cinemas, offices, medical institutions, wheresoever the employees are 10 or more. And in some case, states, it is 20, but majorly it is 10 employees. So if in case you have 10 employees or more, then you need to get this registration under ESI. Simultaneously, the monthly wages of the employee, it should not exceed rupees 21,000. In case the employee is physically handicapped, then in that case, this threshold limit is up to rupees 25,000. And when I talk about contribution, so 3.25% is contributed by the employer and 0.75 is contributed by the employee. As I said, ESI, it is the most important integrated need-based social insurance benefit scheme, which protects your employee from any uncertain event or contingency, whether it is temporary or physical disability, sickness, maternity leave, or any injury at the time of employment or any other injury, any such contingencies. So this is all about ESI and EPF.
Thank you for that, Ruchika. Very comprehensive and very, insightful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I kept seeing that, the questions are already started popping up. So we'll take those questions, audience, in the end. But also for those who have been raising their hand, you could always, add your comment, or if you have any question in the Q&A option, which is there on the screen available, and we'll take that up towards the end. Okay, thank you. Moving on to my next question, Ruchika. So this is related to ESI only. So, if the wages of an employee exceeds rupees 21,000 during the year, can he still be treated or not under the ESIC? And deduction of contribution from his wages are to be stopped, or, what's the scenario there?
Okay. So before answering this question, Rakhi, I want to discuss a contribution period. So what is contribution period? So what government has done is they have divided this financial year, which starts from April till 31st March. They have distributed this financial year into two parts. One that starts from April till 30th September. Another that starts from 1st October till 31st March. So if in case your salary exceeds the threshold limit of 21,000 and now you are not covered under ESI, so what will happen? So you till your contribution period, end of the contribution period, still you will be covered under ESI. See, this you need to know. For example, supposingly I'm covered under first contribution period. I'm still there in first contribution period, and my contribution period has started from April and it will end till 30th September. Supposingly my salary increases on 1st June. In this case, from June till September, still I will be covered under ESI. And my deduction, that is 4%, will be made on increased salary. But as and when 30th September will come, there will be close of contribution period. Beyond that period, I will not be covered under ESIC. One question might have arisen in the mind of viewers, that what if I have a retrospective increase in salary? So as on 1st June, my employer increases my salary from 1st April. Again, there also, till the end of contribution period, that is till 30th September, still I will be covered under this, and my contribution will be deducted from the increased salary. But when I say increased salary, it will not include your arrears in this case. So from June, whatsoever increased salary I am getting, contribution will be deducted on that till the end of contribution period.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that for us. I'm sure a lot of people have these doubts because, most of these companies also observe their, performance appraisals during June, July. So this definitely helps. Thank you for that.
Exactly.
Moving on to my next question, actually coming to EPF part, there's always this mind, especially, this question in the mind, especially of a fresher. that can they, can an employee create their own EPF account, or does it have to be done by the employer? What is the process like? If you could, help us understand that.
So we need to understand, look, in case of PF account, the employer, you need to have your UAN number for generating this EPF account. One thing. And UAN number is normally generated by your employer. So he is the one who generates it and give it to you. So for this, your employer will be logging to his EPF portal, and then at there he has to log in with his company ID and password, and then by clicking on member section, there you will have registered individuals. So there in the system, when you enter that registered individual, you have to mention details of the employee, that is his PAN number, his bank details. You also have to give the nominee details also. So once all this is done, then UAN number is generated. And then this UAN number will be shared by the employer to the employee. And then employee can activate this UAN number on employee PF site by giving all these personal details. And then he'll set a password, and then he can easily log into his PF account.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruchika. Now we see that, of course, especially with Gen Zs, we don't. This has been observed that we don't like to stay, say, for too long in an organization, right? So if between, say, we change after a year or 18 months or 2 years, again, a lot of your documents are verified in the new company that you're joining in, a lot of documents that they ask for, right? So what happens to EPF balance, especially in case of a change of either job termination that could be, or voluntary resignation from your previous company? What happens to our EPF balance then?
So again, in this case, the different scenario. One scenario is I'm leaving the job and then I'm joining some other job. Then there is termination or resignation, anything like that. So if in case I am leaving one company where I was already registered under Provident Fund Act, and now as and when I join this new company, new organization where there is no Provident Fund, so I don't have any other option but to withdraw my Provident Fund. One thing. Secondly, it may so happen that you are leaving an organization where you were registered under PF Act, and now whichsoever organization you are joining, there you have PF. That is, that employer is registered under PF Act. So in this case, whenever there is a change of your job, this new employer, he will open your new EPF account and link it to your existing UAN number. So more than one EPF account can be linked to this existing UAN number. So post opening of this new EPF account, an employee is required to transfer all the balance that was lying in earlier PF account to this new PF account. In case you don't transfer this balance, so that is your loss, obviously, with regard to taxation also, with regard to monetary also. So this is the way how you transfer your old PF account to your new PF account. And this I have already discussed that in case if your employer is not registered, then in that case, whatsoever employer amount is there, you need to withdraw it. Then there comes a case where in case of termination or in case of retirement, whether and when can I withdraw the balance? So when we talk about this withdrawal of balance, then 75% of the balance that is lying in EPF, that can be withdrawn within a month. But if in case you are still unemployed, you don't have any job till next 60 days, then remaining 25% can also be withdrawn by the employee. Then another question that you asked was with regard to your this continuation of job, whether during the continuation of job can I withdraw the amount? So answer is again yes, you can withdraw part of the amount that is in your EPF account during the job tenure, also subject to certain conditions and regulations, provided you are withdrawing this amount for some specific purpose such as education, such as marriage, purchase of any property or land, or in case of home renovation. So whatsoever is the case, in such cases also regularly during the job tenure also, you can withdraw this amount. If in case online withdrawal is also there, so EPF, it can be anytime withdrawn during online. So anytime you can log into your portal. So your UAN number, what you have to do is your UAN number should be activated, and you just go on online withdrawal portal. From there you can withdraw the amount, and also offline also by filing form 13 you can withdraw this amount. So these are some of the ways through which you can withdraw this amount, either at the time of resignation or during job tenure or termination.
Thank you so much for that, Ruchika. And actually, explaining with these scenarios that helps us understand better. Thank you for that. Now, coming back to ESI, you told us that EPF amount can be withdrawn, right? So, two follow-up questions to this regarding ESI. First of all, what is the benefit of ESI, except what we get there in EPF? And can ESI amount be also withdrawn?
Look, one thing, as I said in the beginning, there is both of them, ESI and EPF, they are social security benefits. And basically, since they are social security benefit, as I always say, government cannot provide. That is why they have made these reasons and you are getting it. But there are two different scenarios. There are two different social security benefits that you are getting. So you need to know the difference between two, which I have already discussed, but still I want to discuss. ESI is normally an insurance benefit that an employee is getting, which is non-cash basis, first of all, which benefit you get at the time of happening of any contingency, happening of any sickness or maternity or anything like that you get. So it is important to know the difference between both of them. With regard to the applicability, when I say, so PF is applicable when you're earning less than 15,000, and in case of ESI PF, it is the threshold limit is 21,000. Similarly, in case of PF, both employer and employee, they equally contribute, whereas in case of ESIC, the major contribution is by employer only, that is 3.75. PF you can get at the time of retirement, and in case of ESIC, that the question you also asked for me, that whether it is a cash benefit or not. So answer is no, it is not a cash benefit. It is the medical benefit at the time of any contingency or mishappening or any sickness or maternity, anything like that. It may so happen that at times the employee has spent from his own pocket for any medical expenses, maybe for purchase of medicines or anything like that, but later on he may get reimbursement for that. But again, that is a reimbursement. It is not a cash, that benefit that he is getting from ESIC. So again, as I said, it is a non-cash benefit that you get. And when I talk about the compliances part, then in case of PF, normally we file monthly returns, but in case of ESIC, half-yearly returns, that is, I said that contribution period is there. So based on that, half-yearly returns are filed. So these are the main basic difference between ESIC and EPF. And as I have answered your question that you asked me, whether ESIC is the cash benefit. So ESI is not a cash benefit. It is the social security benefit that you get on happening during the job tenure.
Thank you for that, Ruchika. And, I hope that, and I'm certain that this would give insights to our audience also on EPF and ESI. What is the criteria like? What's the benefits like? The duration? If you can withdraw, not withdraw, what are the different case scenarios? So thank you for that. Now moving to gratuity. So first of all, let's just understand what is gratuity and when an organization is liable to pay gratuity to an employee.
So look, gratuity is a sort of appreciation, or it is sort of a gratitude paid by the employer to the employee for the long-term commitment that employee is having with the employer. So when I say gratuity, so gratuity is covered under Gratuity Act 1972. So all its regulations, rules and regulations, they are binded by this Gratuity Act only. When it is to be paid, how it is to be paid, what is the time of calculation, when at the time of reimbursement, what time it should be paid, what should be the interest amount if it is paid late. Everything is being managed by this Gratuity Act 1972. So talking about the applicability of gratuity. So a gratuity is applicable as and when you have 10 or more employees in your organization. Then you need to pay them gratuity. But if in case in future your employees they reduces by 10, still you are covered under gratuity. Still you are liable to pay gratuity. So once you are covered under gratuity, you are liable to pay gratuity in future also. This employer need to keep in mind. Regarding the eligibility criteria, so whenever the employee, as I said, whenever the employee retire, expires, or in case of death or any permanent disability, then the gratuity becomes due. Here the condition is that employee has to work for complete 5 years with the employer. So there should be a complete 5-year continuous service with the employer for getting this gratuity. So he is also eligible for, simultaneously along with gratuity, is also eligible for superannuation benefits also. But for gratuity, when we say it's, so there should be a complete 5 years. So as I said, in case of death, retirement, resignation, if you have completed your 5 years, your employer is bound to pay you gratuity. In case of death, it will be paid to the employee. In case of permanent disability, nominee of the employee. In case of permanent disability, it will be paid to directly employee. When we talk about the calculation of gratuity, so if I am having less than 10 employees, but still I want to pay gratuity to my employees, so in that case, again, that is a voluntary contribution. So we will consider it as employee is not covered under gratuity yet. And in that case, we will consider 30 days, that is half month salary for each completed year. But where employee is covered under gratuity act, in that case, we consider 26 days for each complete year. And time frame is that as and when this gratuity becomes due, employer need to pay this gratuity to the employee. If in case the employer do not pay this gratuity within period of 30 days, then in that case, he has to pay the gratuity along with interest amount. Anyhow, he is bound to pay the gratuity if he is registered under Gratuity Act.
Understood. Thank you for that, Ruchika. My follow-up question to that would be, what is the maximum amount of gratuity that can be paid to an employee? And if the gratuity received is taxable in the hands of the employee or not?
So as we say that what is the maximum amount? So maximum amount depends upon the calculation of the gratuity. As I said earlier also, that if the employer is covered under gratuity act, then we will be taking 26 days for a month, and not covered, then 30 days as a part of month for each complete year of service. When we talk about the tax liability, so tax liability, for tax liability, what we do is we differentiate the employee between government employee and non-government employee. So if I am a government employee, I am getting retired and I am getting gratuity, so entire amount, whatsoever amount I am getting, it is totally exempt. Nothing is chargeable to tax. So that is the benefit that they have. They don't have to pay any taxes on that. But when I talk about non-government employee, whether I am covered under Gratuity Act or I am not covered under Gratuity Act, provisions for tax are same in both the cases. So in that case, we need to compute the gratuity by using the formula, that is 15 by 20 or 26 multiplied by number of years worked multiplied by a complete year of service. Then we compare this with actual gratuity that is being paid by the employer, or 20 lakhs. That is the maximum ceiling. So whichsoever is less is exempt in case of non-government employees. So at the time of retirement, you need to calculate your gratuity through this formula, and whatsoever is the least amount, that is your exempt amount, balance will be chargeable to tax.
Okay, thank you for that, Ruchika. And you did mention that, you have to have this tenure of 5 years to get your gratuity payment, right? So hypothetically speaking, if employee, if he or she is eligible for gratuity payment after completing 4 years and 245 days of service, are they eligible for that?
So this is something good question, and normally employees get confused in this, that I have not worked for entire 5 years. So what if now I'm getting gratuity? What will happen to it? Whether I'll get the gratuity or not, because I have not completed 5 years. So that is a dilemma normally that they have. So I want to clear this point through this webinar, that in case if you have worked for 4 complete years and 240 days in the fifth year, then in that case, still it is treated as you have completed 5 complete years of job tenure and you are very much eligible for the gratuity. One thing. So when I say that 240 days in the fifth month, supposingly I have worked for 4 years and let's assume 220 days in fifth year. So am I eligible for gratuity? I'm not as such eligible for gratuity. If I'm getting voluntary gratuity, that is totally separate thing. But as such, I'm not eligible for gratuity. And according to your question, you said you are working for 245 days. So if in case I'm working for 245 days in fifth year, that means I'm working for more than 240 days. So again, in this scenario, it will be considered as full complete year. So in your case, you are very much eligible to get the gratuity, provided you have completed your 240 days in the in last fifth year.
Okay, so to be more specific, when we say 5 years, it's more like 4 years and 240 days completion in the fifth year.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Now, there has been a lot of news going around Payment of Gratuity Act, and we did see some, I think, changes, amendments being made in the early of 2024. So, if you could explain any recent changes or proposed amendments to the Payment of Gratuity Act that employers definitely should be aware of.
Look, I always tell to my clients, I always tell to the viewers that normally we have budget on 1st February. So whatever changes are there with regard to the labor law compliances, with regard to the taxes, so normally these changes come on 1st February, as and when new budget is introduced for that year. So we must be aware of what budget is there, not about the entire budget, but specifically for anything that is related to labor law compliances, anything that is related to employees, specifically when I talk about tax liabilities. So when we might be having many HR here, so they must be always aware of this thing, that what exactly tax benefit is there, or what new incentives or what new advantages government has given to the employee. One thing that is about the general knowledge that everybody should have. But with regard to any new changes or latest development with regard to gratuity, so there has been a change in wages with regard to gratuity, that is salary. So now salary includes basic pay, DA, retaining allowance, but it do not include any allowance, that is overtime and bonus and HR. And this we need to consider in mind while calculating, when you might be calculating or any of our viewer might be calculating their gratuity. This we need to check. Another change was there with regard to fixed term employees. So if you are fixed term employee, so period of 5 years is not applicable to you. So in that case, irrespective of period of completing 5 years or not, still you are eligible for this gratuity. And this is proposed, but I'm also overhearing, but it may come true, I'm not sure. But this time government is thinking, because look, 1st February is near. 1st February 2025, we'll have another new budget for 2025. So might be that government will be announcing this, government will extend this 20 lakh deduction in case of gratuity. They might be increasing this. So if in case they will increase this threshold limit of 20 lakh, this will give a tax relief to many of the employees.
Okay, looking forward to that happening for sure. I'm certain a lot of people are excited for what is coming in this new budget. So fingers crossed, and let's everybody have a lot of benefits. Honestly, okay. Moving.
Maybe we'll have one more session after 1st February, and we'll discuss about this new budget.
Definitely. That's their plan, of course. As soon as the budget announced and we have some concrete data with us, we'll have our session, and a lot of people would be interested.
Exactly.
To know more on that. Okay, so now that we have covered, the basics and the understandings of ESI, EPF, and gratuity, I wanted to understand that, of course, there's a lot of compliance here when we talk about these terms. And when it comes to compliance, of course, organizations have to be very, very diligent, and they have to ensure that everything is fact-checked and they're, following the right process. So, and when that happens, they might incur some excessive costs as well to manage all this data and to, for all compliance related issues. So now, according to you, if there are any, say, suggestions or strategies that you would like to recommend, small and medium enterprises especially, that they ensure compliance without incurring excessive costs?
Yes, Saki. So one thing we need to consider is that small and medium enterprises, that is SMEs, what we call, they are the basic foundation of our economies, and there are a lot of SMEs that are contributing towards the development of the nation. But the problem, the dilemma that SME is facing is that one dilemma is with regard to the finances. So they are always inclined towards cost cutting because they want to develop, they want to grow. Another is with regard to the organization, because management is more interested in developing the company rather than paying more attention towards the employees, their payroll, or anything like that, any compliance related issues. So I think here, automation part or HR, both of them, they plays a major role in bridging the gap what the management is lacking, just because they are putting more stress towards the development of their company rather than looking towards the employees. So they are the person who are managing it. So when we talk about cost cutting or cutting of the cost with regard to the new latest developments, so one thing that I need to suggest here is automation and technology, which must be introduced by SMEs. So why it is so? Being part of Great HR, you better know this, that automation and technology, it is always and always helpful. It gives you more transparency. It undoubtedly helps in cost cutting. Maybe initially there is a cost at the time of installation, but later on you might find that it is most reliable source and most economical source, and everything is online. So I think they must stress on automation and technology, where they must have tools like Great HR, Zoho. There are so many software tools that are available in the market, so they can get the tailor-made solution as per their requirement, as per their employees, as per what all obligations they are following. So I think that is the major part that they need to follow. Apart from this, when another burden, financial burden, I must say, that SME face at the time of payment of gratuity. So whenever any employee retires, they have to pay a gratuity amount out of their pockets. So for that, they may go for the option which several insurance companies are providing. So rather than paying a hefty amount as a one lump sum to the employee as and when he's retiring or resigning, or in case of death or any any contingency that may happen, what they can do is they can have a gratuity aligned with insurance companies. They can they can get a gratuity plans from the insurance companies, so that on yearly basis or semi-annually basis, they are paying any insurance premium to these companies. And as and when this employee retires, these insurance company ultimately pay to them, rather than these SMEs, they are paying out of their own pocket a hefty amount. So obviously they have to part with the financial. This is undoubtedly this is a financial burden for them. Apart from this already, as we discussed, that there is always a labor law changes or any taxation changes are there. So they must engage any labor law consultant on retainer basis or as a consultant, so that they should be aware of the labor laws and they are properly complied. When you breach any labor law or you breach any act, so the penalties, prosecutions you are facing, that is more heavy than monthly expenses that you are incurring in maintaining that labor law. So this need to be considered. Similarly, a best way is to have a better communication with your employees, so that it will minimize the disputes and it will have a more clarity between the HR or between the employees and the organization. And last and foremost thing, which I always suggest, you should always be updated, at least at the time of budget, or at least whenever there is any new change of law or act, you should be updated. Even though you are not a management, but whosoever is taking care of your HR, they should be updated regarding this.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Ruchika. Really helpful. And I do have one last question, related to digitization and technology and how, we can simplify compliance for PF, ESI, and gratuity with that. But before we do that, let me just quickly launch a poll to understand from the audience also if they are using any, HR solution right now to manage their compliance. So I'll quickly launch the poll. Yes, it is launched. So the question is, what tool or system does your organization currently use to manage compliance for PF, ESI, and gratuity? And this is not a right or wrong question. This is just to understand your perspective. So if there is in-house manual process, HR software or technology platform, outsourced to a third party, or none of the above. So I would urge each one of you to participate. And I know a lot of questions are lined up. We will be taking them up very, very soon, just after we finish this question. Okay, another 15 seconds. Okay, I'll end the poll now. Most of you have participated. Let's see. I'll also share the result with all of you. So there's 45% of you using HR software or technology platform. 30% of you have outsourced it to a third party. 21% are still using in-house manual process, and 4% not using anything. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this poll. Now, of course, Ruchika did share the benefits and how it simplifies everything, how it is better, and how it is also cost effective. But just to sum it all up, Ruchika, specific to EPF, ESI, and gratuity, with digitization, how can technology simplify these compliances process for its employers, and how can they go about it? Just quickly, if you can conclude this.
I think great HR can better answer this question than me.
Okay, so, thank you for that.
Obviously, technology has significantly reduced the complexities and time that is involved in compliances. That is one thing, and we all know regarding this. So I was wondering, at least 45%, like you can say almost 50% of the persons, they are going for the automation part. That is something good, and we should opt for keeping the current scenario. The way India is going, the way technology is there, it is there for your benefit. It is there. It is providing you transparency. It is providing you data security, and in terms of real time, you have the accuracy. That is the most important part. So I think technology has significantly reduced your time as well as complexity that is involved in each and every compliances. So as I always say, that it is one-time investment, but whatsoever you invest, it will be fruitful throughout and throughout whenever you will be using that technology. So as you said, that how it has simplified. So one thing is, as I am telling, that it has provided a great accuracy, transparency, data security is there. So when I say data security, so earlier you used to send pay slips to different employees, and what if one pay slips mingles within another pay slip and it goes to some other person? So your each and every person is aware, each and every person employee in the organization is aware of your salary. So it provides you privacy, something that is very important. So it enables employee, he can open his own portal. First of all, he can log into his portal, he can check the exact status, how much TDS has been deducted, what is his salary that he is getting. Apart from this, he is also able to check, he is also able to drop in his own investments rather than giving him all these to HR. So privacy is there. That is one of the best part. Second, as I said, that real-time updates are there and any regulatory changes. So it reduces the manual errors whatsoever. And next thing that is very important is integration is there nowadays. So each and every software, payroll software, is integrated with your accounting software. So everything that is simultaneously, when your salary is debited, you can say the same salary is there on the payroll also. So that integration is there. Similarly, verification, digital filing of returns is more easy and accessible through these platforms. And last but not least, even government has technology updated everything. So they also are coming up with the apps like Umang for EPF. So even government is doing that. So it allows the employee and employees, both of them, to manage and assess their records conveniently. So you can say by leveraging on technology, SMEs, large enterprises, they can ensure seamless compliances while reducing cost as well as improving the efficiency.
Thank you for that, Ruchika. Definitely, we are living in a digital era, and there's nothing that's not using technology. There's nobody who's not using technology. So, as you said, there are so many benefits. You get real time, data. It reduces manual tasks for you. There's more, accuracy there. There's, a lot that you can do it both from employers as well as an employee. And so, great. And I hope after this session today, a lot of people who are still using maybe manual processes or who are a little confused of if we should use an HRMS platform or not, they would definitely be more keen and they would have more understanding of the benefits of using HR platforms and HR solutions for streamlining your processes. So thank you so much for that, Ruchika. And of course, this has been a wonderful discussion. I did not see the time just fly by, because it's already 4:50. We have some 10 minutes with us, but I see like a huge round of questions coming in from the audience. I'm sure a lot of these would have been already answered in your question while we were discussing, but still let's look at this as a rapid fire. I'll keep asking questions because we want to cover most of these, and you can help us with the response. So the first question is from Raghavendra. Maximum 7.5 lakh limit for NPS corporate and EPF employer contribution is only applicable to old regime or new regime as well?
Look, for NPS, there are two different provisions, ATCCD 1, 2, and 2B. So for 2, it is applicable on new tax regime. 1 and 1B is applicable to old tax regime.
Next question is from Parul. Is ESI minimum 21,000 per month, or more than that, or less
so
than that?
As I said earlier, also for permanently disabled, it is 25. For others, it is 21,000.
Okay. Next question is from Hemavati. If the employee does not want to opt for PF when their basic and SC is less than 15,000, ESI is less than 15,000, what should be done in that scenario?
So this I have already discussed. You don't have any option. I'm sorry for that, because your employer is also bound. He has to do that. So similarly, even you have to contribute.
Next question is from Abhijit. If basic plus DA is 30,000, is it okay to contribute 1,800 or
1,800?
Okay. Next question is from Siddesh Rao. If an employee has been enrolled into PF in one organization where his wages were less than 15, but his wages are more than 15 in the next organization, can he opt out of PF?
Well, he can opt out of PF in that case.
Next question.
It also depends upon the provisions that your new employer is having. In case if he is registered under PF, then you have to get registered under PF. You have to continue with the same.
Right. Our next question is from Anand. When employees count cross 20 employees and many are above 15K basic plus DA, except 1 or 2 less than 15K, is it mandatory to register? Also, all these employees were part of PF in their earlier employment.
So look, it depends upon your organization from how many employees you have, whether you are crossing that threshold limit or not. First thing that you need to check, irrespective of what was there in the under last employment.
Next question is from Rosman. In PF, 12% of salary means, is it employee gross monthly salary or basic plus DA?
Basic plus DA.
Next question is from Rohit. What are the admin charges on VPF?
It's 0.5%. I think I've already discussed this.
Next question is from Ashwini. In the gross component of EPF return, do we need to consider leave encashment paid at the time of resignation and leave encashed during the service?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it again? I'm sorry.
In the gross component of EPF return, do we need to consider leave encashment paid at the time of resignation and leave encashed during the service?
No, that is not correct.
Next question is from Ravi Kant. If someone is already registered in PF and he switched the organization, so is it compulsory to be part of PF or he can choose? Basic is more than 15K, I think.
Look, as I said, it depends upon the organization that you have recently joined, newly joined. So if PF is applicable on that organization, obviously you have to have part of that organization, and you have to get registered under PF.
Next question. First, there's a feedback. Thank you for your excellent presentation. And the question is regarding ESI. If an employee has been covered under ESI for just 6 months, what is the maximum treatment or medical facilities claim can they avail?
Maximum treatment, so it depends upon the contribution and where the employer has done that, but it is almost same for all, irrespective of time period.
Another question is from Mudassir. If the salary is 12,000, basic is 6,000, then how can we calculate the PF?
So in that case, if the salary is this, again it is PF in case it is 12% of salary only, basic wages.
Next question is Ananya. Now from Ananya, how much one can withdraw from PF fund during his employment, also during unemployment period?
Look, for unemployment, I have already discussed, but in case of employment, it is subject to certain conditions and restrictions, subject to where exactly you are utilizing it.
Also, I see a lot of these repeated questions on, if they can withdraw, if they can opt out of PF. So I think Ruchika has already answered that question. So we'll be skipping those. If you have anything specific to that, maybe you can drop in your question. I think you also took this question. We discussed this during our discussion from Deepthi. What is cash benefit period under ESI?
So as I have told, that is a reimbursement only that is possible. Rest, apart from that, there is no such cash benefits.
Moving on to the next question. This is from Nitish Kumar Mishra. In the case of full and final settlement, we hold the salary of the employee's last working month and we pay that salary after 30 or 45 days. In this case, in which month should we submit the EPF contribution?
You hold the salary, but anyhow, EPF has to be submitted as per the time period only. That is whenever 15th of the next month.
Okay. Next question. This is from Satish Kumar. PF deduction is based only on basic salary or on gross salary?
So it depends how much salary you have, whether less than 15,000 or more than 15,000, but more or less it is on basic pay plus TA.
Next question. Just a moment. I think a lot of repeated questions are there. So also, I would request everyone to put their question in as one question. If you add, question, you add something and then you add again something else, we will not be able to understand the context because by that time, a lot of other questions would have been there in the row. So it is better to add the question in one go if it's the same question and not parts of that. Okay, so this question is from Swati. When an employee covered under ESI received the salary from ESI during maternity leave, during monthly basis after completing maternity leave. Again, I think this is an incomplete question. Not sure what exactly is the question, but Swati, you could add more to it and we would be happy to tweak that up. Okay, this question is from Loveleen. What is the maximum amount of voluntarily PF, okay, an employee can contribute?
Look, as I said, that voluntary contribution can be 10% of salary.
Okay. Next question is from Himanshu. What can be done if EPS is wrongly deposited due to either age of 58 years or 2014 UAN rule?
Can you repeat again? I'm sorry.
Yes. What can be done if EPS is wrongly deposited due to either age of 58 years or 2014 UN rule?
Wrongly deposited at the age of 58 years?
To either age of 58 years. That's what's written here. Himanshu, if you could maybe give more context. Yes, to this question, please. Okay, moving on. This question is from Jay. What is EDLI and what its impact on CTC pay structure?
So EDLI is something that is paid by the employer at the time of, like, whenever he is depositing PF. This I've already discussed at the time of discussing PF.
Got it. Also, this question is from Peckham Banerjee. Will we get a recording? Yes, as I said in the beginning, this recording will be shared with all of you and will also be available on our YouTube channel, so you can, go there and watch it. Quickly moving on to the next question. Okay, so many questions are popping up. Okay, so this question is from Katyani. Whether leave encashment paid during service is included in gross wages for PF calculation?
This we have already discussed.
Yes, okay. If you want to maybe add, because this is our latest question that we got. Okay. There's a feedback from Ramesh. Thank you for detailed explanation on the subject. Nice session.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Okay, so this question is from Srishti. What if an employee's 6-month contribution it's not paid by the employer? So how an employee can withdraw the amount?
So if contribution is not paid by employer, so what amount will be withdrawn? Unless and until it is paid by the employers.
Is there anything that can be requested from the employees and apart from a formal letter?
Obviously, you can go to labor law. That is the option that you have. Apart from this,
this question is from Manoj. Employer PF contribution is exempted under new regime? Question mark.
No employer contribution. Employer, look, from employer point of view, as far as employee is concerned, you need to understand this. Under new tax regime, you are not getting any tax benefit. So earlier there was 80C under where you were getting benefit under employee contribution, but there also under employer contribution as such you were not getting. For employer contribution, employer is getting a deduction.
Next question is from Shri. If an employee's EPF contribution is calculated based on a fixed basis of 15,000 and the employee has taken 10 days of leave, resulting in a monthly basis of 20,000, how should the EPF be calculated? Should the EPF be based on 15 or 20,000?
Look, EPF is based on monthly salary, not based on what like you have taken any leaves and your salary is being reduced by that basic amount.
So this is a feedback from Pragati. Session was wonderful. Thank you, Great HR and Ruchika.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so this question is from Avni. If an employee has been with a company for 8+ years, after how many years does the PF amount convert into a pension?
Look, normally PF withdrawal is there, subject to certain conditions that I have already discussed, whether like in future, whosoever you are joining, their PF is there or not, and subject to the age limit also. So both these things are considered for withdrawal of this. And one thing else is there, if you are not getting any job, you are unemployed, then also.
Okay. There's this question from Chaitanya. If there is an employee who has retired but does not have parents and is single, how can he get his pension without nominee?
Look, nowadays, this is something very specific that whenever you are filling this form, they always ask for nominee details. So you need to mention your nominee details for getting this PF.
This question is from Purnima. One of my employees have applied EPS on higher wages and it is pending for approval from EPFO officer. Am I allowed to consider EPS contribution on higher wages? Start contributing the EPS on higher wages.
Look, this is something that your employer has to do. One thing, but you need to get sanction. You need to get registration from the obviously EPF employer, EPF office.
Okay. Okay. A lot of good feedback also coming in, so I'm just going to I'm juggling between the questions and the feedback. So there's this feedback from G Pasha. The session was really informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for attending also. Okay, so this question is from Akhil. The eligibility period for a gratuity is stated as 4 years and 240 days. Does the 240 days include both paid and unpaid leaves, or does it refer to 240 actual working days, excluding leaves and including weekends?
So it is not 240 actual working days, it is total 240 days.
In total. I think that helps everybody on a lighter note.
Yes.
Okay. So I think again this question is something that can be go to that they can discuss or take forward officially, but or legally. But if you want to add something here, this is from Sharmila. I have completed 5 years in my company, but my managing director is declining for gratuity payment, saying that they don't follow gratuity. So I'm still working. If there's any suggestion from your end.
Look, as such, you are eligible for gratuity since you have worked for 5 years. But yes, it do depends like a lot on your employee organization also. How many employee, how many strength is there, so that you can force your employer to get this gratuity payment to you.
Right. Next question is from Nisha Shekhar. If an employee is a fresher, are they eligible for EPS contribution?
Look, as such, if your organization is registered under EPF, then it starts from day one. But under certain organizations, they have certain rules and regulations or policies that what they do is once the employee complete 1 year of service or certain time span, then only they get registered. They register that employee under EPF to avoid the compliances that they have to go through from day one. So depending upon that, but as such, when we go lawfully or when we talk about act, then from day one you are eligible for registration.
Okay. Next question is from Sachin Ashok. Can employee itself themselves withdraw PF amount by logging in the PF portal, or
Yes, they
can
can.
they only? Okay, that can be done. Okay, so this is a scenario based question. I think we did discuss on these before. So this is from Sucha. If very old ex employee comes to withdraw EPF before UAN in 2013-14, how can they withdraw it, and how, as an employer, can we help?
Well, this is a long procedure that you need to follow for withdrawal of this PF. When I do understand a lot of people face these challenges. So when everything was not upgraded on portal, so manual things were being maintained earlier times. So there is a challenge, but still, yes, UN need to be generated for that, and then only you can withdraw. This is a long procedure, but you can consult some good consultant. They can give you this benefit. They can get you this provident fund.
Thank you for that. Next question is from Manoj. One of our employee left the organization and joined other organization, and they created new UAN number. Now employee is facing issue in transferring the PF amount. What is an employer action here?
So as such, you don't have to do any action. So whosoever is the new employer, he has to do that. Basically, they have created a new UN. So even like they have to they have to regularize this. So being old employer, you don't have any role in this.
Correct. Again, this is like a follow-up question to that gratuity question of leaves and all that we discussed. So this is from Akhil. Now, if an employee resigns on a 245th day of fifth year service, and she had taken 6-month maternity leave in the beginning of the fifth year, now does she, is she eligible or not?
So you are mixing maternity leaves along with the gratuity in this case. This is a hypothetical scenario, but still, a lot depends upon your rules and regulations that your employer is following in this case. What
Got it.
policies do they have regarding gratuity?
Got it. Also, some feedback. This is from Prem Chand. Appreciate the efforts of great HR. Much useful session from Ruchika. Thank you. All thanks to Ruchika. I'll also do this. So this is from Rishita. Thank you, Ruchika and Raki, for this great session. Ruchika, you were very wonderful, very on point, clear, and very patient.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I think there's another question. There's another feedback from Rajappa. Nice session, good explanation about the PF and gratuity. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for being such active participants also. I think we received a lot of questions. Most of this we have covered, but a lot of these scenario-based questions are there, which I think, we understand that might also require a deeper discussion with more context, with more, documents that you have. So what I will do now, because we have already crossed the, limit of the session today, we will be sharing 2 email IDs with you. You could either connect with me on my email ID and send in your queries or anything if you want to know more about Great HR also, and we'll be happy to help you out. Also, we will share the email ID of Ruchika right now also, and when we are sharing the recording also. So you can always connect with her. She's the best person here to, help you with your queries, and I'm sure she'll be happy to help there. So you can, if anything requires deeper discussion, you can connect with her on that.
Sure.
Okay, great. Then I think I'll just quickly add in the chat here the email ID. Just give me a moment, everybody. So this is for everyone here. Um, so yes, if you have any queries related to this webinar, you can mail this to Ruchika's team on info@brooksconsulting.com, and they'll connect with you. And of course, if there's anything that you would like us to help you with, you can always connect with us. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. It was great. And thank you so much, Ruchika, for being such a wonderful expert on this topic and helping us understand everything so simple. Because I understand, we know that this topic is very complex. Whenever it comes to compliance, complex word attaches to it, right? So thank you for being so patient and helping us with all our questions. It was great hosting you today.
Thank you. In fact, thanks a lot for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you, Raki. Thank you, Great
Thank you so
HR.
much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you, everybody from the audience also who joined in. Also, as I said, so we have a Great Tribe community also where you can connect with experts like Ruchika, and, any questions that you might have related to HR, payroll, tax, compliance, you can ask your questions there and our experts will help you out. Also, as I said, we are also available on WhatsApp. You can see on the screen, this is the QR code. You could just scan this QR code and connect with us on WhatsApp as well for any quick assistance related to Great HR, customer support, product, or these webinar sessions that we have been doing. Also, as I said in the beginning, yes, this is a recorded session, and the recording of this session will be shared with all of you very soon with the email ID of Ruchika also. So you can always connect with us. You can always watch the recording at your own time, and let us know your feedback. Any questions that you might have, you can connect with us later also for that. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. Again, before we let you go, I am just going to share another link, a registration link in the chat. This is for a new webinar, our upcoming webinar, which is being done on 21st of January. And we'll be discussing on Workforce 4.0, skills, tech, and leadership for a competitive edge. So this will be a panel discussion. Anybody who's interested to attend this session, they're free to register, and we'll be seeing you there very soon. Also, as we discussed during the webinar, also it came up that budget is coming. Budget is going to be announced on the 1st of February, and a lot of anticipation, of course, is there, and a lot of questions might also come in. So we'll be doing a dedicated session on that with all of you in February. So stay tuned for that also. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Ruchika, for being here with us. Lovely to connect with you always.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rakhi. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening ahead.